Coronation Street tease that the shadows of the past have begun to stir once more in Weatherfield, as Lisa MacDonald finds herself drawn into a web of memories too sharp to bear. From the moment Becky's name slipped through the lips of an unsuspecting neighbor, spoken as if in passing, but heavy with unspoken implication, Lisa felt the old ache settle back into her chest. It was as though every brick on the cobbles, every whisper in the Rovers, carried a fragment of Becky's story, beckoning Lisa to relive the tragedy she had tried so hard to bury. In the quiet of Carla's flat, late one autumn evening, Lisa stood by the window, staring out at the dew-glazed pavements. The street lamps cast long, wavering lines across the tarmac, shadows dancing like phantoms. She traced their shapes with hollow eyes, remembering how Becky had once darted through similar pools of light, laughter ringing like silver bells. Now that laughter was gone, replaced by an emptiness that weighed on Lisa's heart, heavy as the funeral wreath that had remained untouched in her living room for months. She pressed a trembling hand to the cool glass, as if trying to hold on to something real in that reflection, her own face, etched with worry and unspoken sorrow. It was Carly's gentle knock on the door that broke the reverie. When she entered, her expression was a blend of concern and resolve. "Lisa," Carly began softly, placing a tentative hand on her friend's shoulder, "I know it's hard. But you don't have to face this alone." The words felt like a lifeline thrown across turbulent waters. For weeks, Carly had watched Lisa retreat into herself, arms wrapped tight around her own chest, eyes clouded with recollections of that fateful night. Even Betsy, Lisa's bright, inquisitive daughter, sensed the tension at home. Her once carefree chatter had dwindled into quiet questions that hung in the air. "Mummy, what really happened to Becky? And why do you always look sad when I say her name?" These innocent queries, intended to connect mother and daughter, instead reopened bruises Lisa thought had healed. She found herself trembling at every mention of Becky's name, as though the syllables themselves held pain. Late-night nightmares plagued her sleep, visions of Becky's pale face, eyes wide with fear, and the echo of frantic footsteps in a darkened alley. Each morning, Lisa awoke drenched in sweat, the memory of that night more vivid than the last. Carly, witnessing her friend's unraveling, knew it was time for real help. Over cups of herbal tea at the bistro, she broached the subject gently. "Lisa, you've said yourself that talking helps sometimes, but there's only so much friends can do. I've been reading about a therapist who specializes in traumatic grief, someone who understands what you're going through." Lisa picked at the rim of her cup, eyes flicking away. "I don't know, Carly. What if it just makes everything worse?" Carly's voice was calm but firm. "It's okay to be afraid. But think of Betsy. She deserves a mum who can smile again, not one who flinches at bedtime stories and sunlit mornings." At the mention of Betsy, something inside Lisa gave way. Tears welled suddenly, spilling over. "I don't want to mess her up," she whispered. I don't want her to think her mummy is broken." Carly reached across the table and squeezed Lisa's hand. "You're not broken. You're grieving. And that's all right. But you owe it to yourself and to Betsy to get support." The promise of therapy hovered between them, both a beacon of hope and a source of terrifying uncertainty. In the days that followed, Lisa hesitated at the threshold of Dr. Harwood's office, a small practice tucked between the barber's shop and the florist on Weatherfield's main parade. The sign in the window displayed the name in elegant script, but the door felt heavy in her hand. Inside, she found a warm waiting room, light filtering through lace curtains, filling shelves lined with books on trauma, mindfulness, and resilience. A receptionist offered her a reassuring smile and a cup of chamomile tea, and for a moment, Lisa allowed herself to breathe. The therapy itself began gently. Dr. Harwood guided Lisa through exercises in grounding, focusing on the simple facts of the present moment, the weight of her feet on the floor, the soft hum of the radiator, the taste of tea on her tongue. These small anchors helped still the storm in her mind, though the memories always lurked close by. Eventually, the sessions delved deeper. With Dr. Harwood's gentle encouragement, Lisa reopened the door to the past, touching once again the fragments of the night Becky died. "You mentioned intrusive thoughts," Dr. Harwood said in one session, voice calm and compassionate. "Tell me more about when they appear." Lisa closed her eyes, inhaling slowly, before speaking. She described a recent moment at home, when Betsy, in her innocent curiosity, had unearthed an old news clipping about Becky's death. "Mummy, why did Becky die?" Betsy asked, her voice small and quivering. The memory of that moment replayed in Lisa's mind, the way her daughter's eyes had brimmed with tears, the uncertainty in her young voice. Lisa had stumbled through a vague answer about accidents and bad choices, but inside, she had crumbled. She confessed to Dr. Harwood that question had haunted her since, every syllable a reminder of her failure to protect her friend. As therapy continued, Lisa confronted the guilt that had festered for too long. She spoke of the last time she saw Becky alive, a late-night stroll to the corner shop for sweets, Becky's arm flung around Lisa's shoulders in a gesture of carefree companionship. They had laughed about nothing and everything, plans fluttering between them like confetti in the breeze. And then, in the following days, rumors had begun to swirl, whispers of debts, of secrets Becky had kept from everyone. Lisa regretted not seeing the warning signs, not pulling Becky back from the edge. Outside the therapy rooms, life on Coronation Street carried on in its familiar rhythm. Carla's flat provided a sanctuary of sorts. The soft glow of her bedside lamps and the inviting clutter of cushions and framed photographs made Lisa feel safe. Carla herself was a pillar of strength, a woman who had weathered her own storms and emerged tempered by fire. In quiet moments, Lisa confessed her fears. "What if I can't move past this? What if I never sleep without nightmares?" Carla would wrap her arms around Lisa and whisper, "You will, love. Healing isn't a straight line, there will be setbacks, but I'm here for every step." Betsy, too, sensed the change in her mother. She adopted a quiet vigilance, shadowing Lisa through the flat, offering small gestures of comfort. Tucking the cover around Lisa's shoulders at bedtime, drawing pictures for her with crayons, each stroke a testament to her love. Yet her questions persisted. "Will Becky ever come back? Or do you miss her less now, Mummy?" And with each query, Lisa felt the tremors of anxiety ripple through her chest once more. To protect her daughter, Lisa sometimes found herself retreating, hoping that silence would shield Betsy from the pain. But Dr. Harwood reminded her that honesty, tailored to a child's understanding, was the better path. So Lisa began to share simple truths. "Becky was my friend, sweetheart, and she died. It makes me sad when I think about it, but I'll always remember the good times with her." As autumn deepened, the therapy sessions evolved. Lisa learned to reframe her thoughts, recognizing the all-or-nothing patterns that had convinced her she was wholly responsible for Becky's fate. She practiced compassion exercises, speaking kindly to herself in moments of despair. "I did the best I could with what I knew." Some days, the words felt hollow, on others, they unlocked a release of tears that thinned the ache in her chest. Meanwhile, the atmosphere on Coronation Street carried an undercurrent of tension. Neighbors speculated about Lisa's frequent visits to Dr. Harwood's office. Whispers of mental health reached even the dusty corners of the Rover's return inn. Some cast sympathetic glances, others indulged in gossip. Lisa felt the prick of judgment, as though her grief were an open wound on display for all to see. Yet Carla's calm presence and Carly's unwavering support formed a buffer against the scrutiny. And Betsy, ever perceptive, offered hugs and drawings that brightened the somber days. One chilly evening, as dusk settled into early night, Lisa found herself alone in Carla's kitchen, stirring a pot of soup. Steam curled into the air, carrying scents of carrot and celery. She closed her eyes, inhaling deeply, and felt a flicker of peace. The memory of therapy's early days, her trembling entrance into Dr. Harwood's office, the fear that she would unravel, seemed distant now, like a dream from which she had awakened. She thought of Becky, the friend she had lost, and allowed herself to smile through tears at the recollection of Becky's mischievous grin. Yet the path ahead remained uncertain. Dr. Harwood had warned that grief could resurface unexpectedly, triggered by the smallest of events. And Betsy's questions showed no sign of abating. Lisa braced herself for the day when her daughter would demand more answers, when the simple truths would no longer suffice. But for now, in the glow of Carla's kitchen, she felt a fragile hope. She spooned the soup into bowls and carried them to the table, where Betsy waited, drawing pictures of two stick figures holding hands under a bright sun. "Mummy," Betsy said, her voice soft, "thank you for being here." Lisa sank into the chair beside her daughter, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Always, my love." And as they shared the meal, Lisa realized that healing was not about forgetting Becky's death, but about carrying her memory forward with kindness for herself and her child. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where sorrow and hope could coexist, where the past informed but did not define the future. In the hush of that moment, Carla's words echoed in Lisa's mind, "You're stronger than you know." And for the first time in a long while, Lisa believed it. The cobbles of Coronation Street would continue to hold echoes of Becky's laughter and pain, but Lisa was learning to walk among those echoes with a lighter step, guided by love, understanding, and the promise of brighter days. The dawn light filtered softly through the lace curtains of Carla's sitting room, casting delicate patterns on the plush rug as Lisa sat curled up on the sofa, a mug of chamomile tea warming her hands. The previous weeks had been a whirlwind of therapy sessions, late-night conversations, and gentle prodding from Carly, all meant to guide her back toward solid ground. Yet despite the progress she'd made, Lisa could feel the undercurrents of anxiety stirring beneath her calm surface. Today, Betsy was returning to Carla's flat, after a sleepover with her father, and Lisa's heart thudded with anticipation and dread. How many more questions would her daughter ask? How much of Becky's story could she bear to retell? Before Betsy's arrival, Lisa resolved to seize the morning for herself. She placed the empty tea mug on the low table and rose, stretching limbs stiff from restless sleep. Carla, already bustling in the kitchen, glanced up and offered a reassuring smile. "Coffee?" she asked, flipping pancakes with practiced ease. Lisa nodded, grateful for the routine normalcy. As Carla set a cup of strong brew before her, Lisa inhaled the rich aroma and let it steady her. "Thank you." She paused, studying Carla's profile against the window. "I feel better this morning. Maybe because I know Betsy won't be alone for long." Carla slid the plate of pancakes across. "She adores you, you know. She's missed you." Her tone was gentle but firm. "And you too have earned a bit of peace today." Peace was a precious commodity these days. Lisa took a careful bite, savoring the sweetness of syrup and warm batter. Each mouthful reminded her that small joys still existed, even amid grief. When Betsy burst through the door a short while later, her cheeks flushed, curls bouncing, Lisa felt a pang of both relief and anxiety. The child's wide smile faded slightly when she saw the serious expression on her mother's face. "Mum?" she asked, dropping her backpack by Carla's armchair. Lisa knelt to embrace her. "Hi, sunshine. How was your night at Dad's?" Betsy shrugged, tugging at her mother's sleeve. "Good, but I missed you." Then, voice dropping to a whisper, do you feel sad today?" Lisa's chest tightened. She stroked her daughter's hair, choosing her words with care. "I have good days and hard days, darling. But talking about our feelings helps me feel better." She hoped the honesty would reassure Betsy without opening a floodgate. Betsy's eyes flicked to Carla, who gave a tiny nod. Can I ask about Becky again? Lisa drew a steadying breath. Over the past weeks, she had learned from Dr. Harwood that facing the painful memories head-on was essential. Yes, she said softly. You can always ask me about Becky. Betsy climbed onto the sofa beside her mother. I found a picture at school. In art class, we drew someone who was important to us. I drew you both holding hands, and Ms. Patel asked why. I told her Becky was your friend, and she said she'd heard about her. Then she asked why you were sad. Lisa felt the familiar ache, but steadied herself. I'm sorry that happened, love. Sometimes people don't know how to talk about sad things. It's okay if you don't answer questions like that. She paused. Would you like to know more about Becky? I can tell you some happy memories. Betsy nodded, eyes brightening. Yes, please. Lisa's voice softened as she launched into a story of lazy summer afternoons. She described how she and Becky would pedal their bikes to the canal bank, arm in arm, daring each other to jump from the old wooden jetty into the cool water. How Becky, fearless and free-spirited, would splash Lisa until they both lay panting on the grass, the world a blur of sunlight and laughter. As she spoke, Lisa's own smile returned, bittersweet though it was. Betsy listened, wide-eyed, absorbing every detail. Becky's cinnamon-colored hair drifting in the breeze, her freckles sprinkled like stardust across her cheeks, her laughter that seemed to linger in the air long after it faded. When the story ended, Betsy climbed onto Lisa's lap and hugged her tight. Thank you for telling me, she whispered. I like knowing about her happy times. Lisa kissed Betsy's hair. Me too, sweetheart. And in that moment, the heaviness in her chest seemed to lighten, if only for a moment. That afternoon, Lisa headed to her therapy appointment feeling more prepared than ever. She and Carly had agreed that Betsy should not attend sessions. This space belonged to Lisa alone, but she carried with her the glow of their morning together. Dr. Harwood greeted her in the sunlit waiting room, offering a small smile. Ready for today? Lisa nodded, settling into the armchair. I want to talk about Betsy's questions. They help me heal, but sometimes I feel like I can't protect her from the pain. Dr. Harwood leaned forward. You are protecting her by being honest and age-appropriate. But it's understandable to worry. Let's explore ways to balance openness with reassurance. Over the next hour, they mapped out a plan. Simple explanations, use of children's books about grief, creative activities, like drawing or letter writing, to allow Betsy to express her emotions safely. They practiced role-playing. How Lisa might respond when Betsy asks, will Becky ever come back? Or is it my fault she died? These rehearsals gave Lisa a toolkit to manage the delicate conversations ahead. By the session's end, Lisa felt empowered. She had a strategy to nurture Betsy's curiosity without being overwhelmed. As she stood to leave, Dr. Harwood handed her a small journal. Use this for moments when words fail. Write down what you feel, what you want to say to Becky, to yourself, to Betsy. Sometimes putting thoughts on paper can clarify them. Lisa accepted the journal gratefully, tucking it into her bag. She stepped out into the fading sunlight feeling lighter, as though a door had opened in her chest. Meanwhile, Carla and Carly conferred about future support for Lisa. In Carla's office upstairs at the salon, papers and fabric swatches strewn across the desk, they sifted through leaflets for a local bereavement support group and made a list of painting workshops and yoga classes that might help Lisa reconnect with her body and mind. Carly's fingers traced the curves of a brochure. I think when Lisa's ready, we can invite her to one of these workshops. It will remind her that life still holds beauty beyond grief. Carla nodded, folding the leaflet deliberately. Yes. And I'll keep an eye on Betsy too. She's doing so well, but she needs to know she can share her worries without feeling like a burden. Their decisions made, they shared a moment of quiet solidarity. Both had witnessed Lisa's darkest hours and now stood at her side, ready to guide her toward the light. That evening, the trio gathered at the bistro for a casual dinner, pasta, salad, and shared stories of the day. Betsy chatted about her art class, while Lisa described her therapy breakthroughs, careful to present them in an age-appropriate way that Betsy could understand. Carly, ever the diplomat, kept the tone light, interjecting anecdotes about her own childhood mishaps. The warmth in the bistro buzzed around them, reminding Lisa that community still existed beyond her own pain. As they left, the sky darkened, and a chill breeze rustled the leaves along the street. Betsy linked arms with her mother and Carla, her laughter echoing in the night air. Lisa basked in the simple joy of that moment, the reassurance of companionship, the promise of a future less burdened by sorrow. Back at Carla's flat, Betsy was tucked into bed with a stack of drawings and the promise of pancakes for breakfast. Lisa lingered in the doorway, watching her daughter drift toward sleep. She thought of the journal waiting on her desk, and felt a stirring of determination. Tonight, she would write her own letter to Becky, express the gratitude she still held for their friendship, the regret for opportunities lost, and the fierce resolve to honor Becky's memory by living fully. As Lisa sat at the small desk, pen in hand, memories poured onto the page. The warmth of Becky's presence, the sound of her voice, the confidence she had inspired in Lisa. Each word eased a fraction of the grief, transforming it into something purposeful. When at last she set the pen down, she closed the journal and exhaled. The tears that fell were no longer solely of pain, but of release. The next morning, Lisa awoke with a clarity she hadn't felt in months. She dressed carefully, smoothing her hair, and went downstairs to find Carla already brewing coffee. "Morning," Carla said, holding out a mug. "You seem different today." Lisa smiled, taking the cup. "I feel different." She paused, gathering courage. "I think I'm ready to help Betsy create her own journal, something she can fill with her memories of Becky, her questions, her artwork. It might give her control over her feelings." Carla's eyes shone with pride. "That's a wonderful idea. Let's pick up some notebooks after breakfast." As they walked toward the door, Carla slipped her arm around Lisa's shoulders. "You're doing brilliantly. One day at a time." Lisa nodded, letting the words sink in. Yes, one day at a time. She thought of the road ahead, more therapy sessions, potentially painful revelations, as she sifted through Becky's secrets, and the ongoing task of nurturing Betsy's healing. But she also saw bright spots. The supportive presence of friends, the sanctuary of her journal, the joy in Betsy's laughter. Later that day, Lisa introduced the idea of a journal to Betsy. They sat at the kitchen table, a stack of colorful notebooks and art supplies spread before them. Betsy's eyes brightened at the prospect of choosing her own book. "Can I draw inside too?" "Of course," Lisa said, reaching for markers and stickers. "You can write, draw pictures, paste photos, anything you like." As Betsy decorated the cover with glitter and hearts, Lisa felt a swell of pride. In guiding her daughter through their shared grief, she was forging a new path, one where pain and hope coexisted, where remembrance was not a chain, but a bridge to understanding. That evening, as the family settled into their respective corners of Carla's flat, Carla reading a novel on the sofa, Betsy curled up with her new journal, and Lisa at the desk finishing her own entries, the doorbell rang. Carla opened it to find Carly, holding a bouquet of daisies and a small envelope. "I thought these might brighten things," she said, handing them over. Lisa accepted the flowers and opened the envelope. Inside was a letter from Dr. Harwood, an invitation to a community group for parents and children coping with loss. The first meeting was scheduled for the following week at the community center. The letter was warm and encouraging, emphasizing a safe space for sharing experiences and creative expression. Lisa's heart fluttered. She recognized this as the next step. Turning to Betsy, she knelt to look her in the eyes. "Would you like to go to this group with me?" she asked gently. Betsy considered, then nodded. "Yes. I think it could help me understand." Her voice was steady, and Lisa felt a surge of gratitude for her daughter's courage. Carly smiled widely. "That's wonderful." Carla squeezed Lisa's hand. "I'll come with you the first time, if you like." Lisa nodded, feeling tears of relief prick her eyes. Today, she had taken another step forward, not away from her grief, but through it, guided by love, honesty, and the shared strength of her chosen family. As night fell over Coronation Street, its terraced houses bathed in the soft glow of street lamps, Lisa stood at Carla's window, looking out at the familiar cobbles. The ache of Becky's absence remained, but it no longer consumed her. Instead, it sat beside her, a companion in her heart that reminded her of the fragility and beauty of life. She closed her journal and placed it carefully on the desk, alongside Betsy's half-decorated book. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, the community group, more therapy, and Betsy's inevitable questions as she filled her journal with memories and emotions. But Lisa felt ready. With Carly's unwavering support, Carla's steadfast kindness, and the bright spirit of Betsy guiding her, she had found a way to weave Becky's memory into a tapestry of hope and resilience. And so, as the gentle hum of the night settled around her, Lisa allowed herself a moment of peace. The echoes of Becky's laughter no longer haunted her. They beckoned her forward, a tender reminder that love endures, even in the wake of loss. In the delicate dance between grief and healing, Lisa MacDonald took her next step, undaunted, wholehearted, and ready to face whatever dawn might bring.